What's up, Steelers Nation? The Pittsburgh Steelers are in full grind mode, working to sharpen the roster and bring home another Lombardi trophy. From potential blockbuster trades to key draft prospects and big decisions in free agency, we've got a lot to talk about. But before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a Steelers update. Now, let's get into it. The Steelers are hard at work at the 2025 NFL Combine, scouting the next wave of talent. And if early reports are any indication, the team has its eyes on two big-name defensive tackles, Kenneth Grant and Walter Nolan. Both players fit the Steelers' aggressive defensive mindset and could be key additions to bolster the front line. But here's the big question. Will the Steelers actually draft one of them? With pressing needs at cornerback and offensive line, some fans wonder if Pittsburgh might take another route in round one. But if one of these monsters on the defensive line is available, the Steelers might not be able to pass up the chance to add another young stud to their defense. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest rumors swirling around Pittsburgh. The Steelers have a glaring need for a top-tier cornerback to pair with Joey Porter Jr., and while free agency is an option, what if the Steelers made a bold move and swung a trade for Jair Alexander? The Green Bay Packers have reportedly given Alexander permission to seek a trade, which means he could be on the move. When healthy, Alexander is one of the best shutdown corners in the league, but he's had his fair share of injuries over the last 2 seasons, and that's where things get tricky. Are the Steelers interested, and what would it cost? Here's what we know. Alexander has 2 years left on his contract, but carries a hefty cap hit, $24 million in 2025 and $27.3 million in 2026. The Packers would save over $17 million if they move him post-June 1st, making it an attractive deal for them. If Pittsburgh can land him without giving up a first-round pick, this could be a massive upgrade for the defense. Would you guys be on board with the Steelers making a move for Jair Alexander? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Another huge story to watch: the future of Najee Harris in Pittsburgh. The Steelers have already met with Harris's agent at the NFL Combine, discussing the possibility of bringing him back despite declining his 5th-year option last year. Harris had another solid season in 2024, rushing for 1,043 yards and 6 touchdowns, while also catching 36 passes for 283 yards. He's been the definition of a workhorse since entering the league, racking up over 4,300 career rushing yards and 28 touchdowns. The question now is how much money the Steelers are willing to invest in him. Reports suggest Harris could command between $7 million and $10 million per year, which raises some concerns. The Steelers declined his 5th-year option, which would have cost $7 million. If they weren't willing to pay him that for 1 season, would they really commit more money for multiple years? Head coach Mike Tomlin loves Harris's toughness and durability, which could influence the decision. Pittsburgh does have over $60 million in cap space, but they have other priorities as well. With Jaylen Warren expected to return as a restricted free agent, would the Steelers really pay big money to keep both backs? Steelers general manager Omar Khan recently hinted at the NFL Combine that nose tackle Keanu Benton might be moving to defensive end this upcoming season. Yep, you heard that right. One of our young defensive anchors could be shifting to a new position, and that could open up some major opportunities for the Steelers in the draft and free agency. With veteran defensive lineman Larry Ogunjobi most likely becoming a cap casualty, Pittsburgh is looking for solutions to shore up the defensive line. Khan made it clear that Benton's versatility is a huge asset, saying Keanu Benton has the flexibility to play anywhere on the defensive line. Now, what does that mean for the Steelers? Well, if Benton moves outside to defensive end, that leaves a massive hole in the middle of the defensive front. And guess what? The 2025 NFL draft class is stacked with talented defensive tackles, including one name that has been generating a ton of buzz: Michigan's Kenneth Grant. If the Steelers are serious about moving Benton outside, they could make a splash by selecting Kenneth Grant with the 21st overall pick. And let me tell you, this guy is an absolute force. At 6'3", 340 pounds, Grant has all the makings of a dominant nose tackle who can plug up the middle and wreak havoc in the trenches. The Steelers have already conducted a formal interview with Grant, which only strengthens the idea that they could be eyeing him as their top pick. NFL Network draft analyst Daniel Jeremiah is all in on the idea, saying, "I think Kenneth Grant. He's got the ability and the tools to do some unique stuff, and he has not come close to scratching the surface of his potential. So, I would have no problem whatsoever if the Steelers made that pick, and I'd be pretty pumped up about it if I were a Steeler fan. That's some high praise right there. And it doesn't stop with Grant. This year's draft class is absolutely loaded at the defensive tackle position. Jeremiah also dropped this eye-opening stat. Last year at this time, I had potential starter grades on 12 DTs. This year, I have 24 of them. Ridiculous amount of depth at the position in this draft class. That means the Steelers could have multiple great options, even if they decide to go in a different direction in the first round. If you've been paying attention to the offseason, it's clear that the Steelers are prioritizing the defensive line. Head coach Mike Tomlin spent a significant amount of time at the Senior Bowl scouting defensive linemen, and team president Art Rooney II recently reinforced the team's focus in an interview with Bob Pompiani of KDKA. On the defensive line, we probably need to get younger there. We're fortunate to have Cam Hayward, but we may need to look to have some young blood there this year. That statement makes it pretty obvious. Expect the Steelers to make some serious moves on the defensive front this offseason. So let's break this all down. If Keanu Benton moves to defensive end, that could change the entire look of the Steelers' defensive line. Imagine a front with Benton on the outside and Kenneth Grant holding it down in the middle. That would give Pittsburgh a young, physical defensive front that could dominate for years to come. This move could also impact free agency. If the Steelers are planning to draft a defensive tackle, they may not be as aggressive in pursuing veteran defensive linemen. On the flip side, if they choose to go with a different position in the first round, they might explore signing a proven interior defender to solidify the trenches. It's clear the Steelers have a lot of key decisions to make in the coming weeks. Will they trade for Jair Alexander? Will they draft a defensive tackle in round 1? And will Najee Harris get a new deal? This offseason is shaping up to be one of the most exciting in years, and we'll be here every step of the way to break it all down for you. Now, we want to hear from you. Should the Steelers trade for Jair Alexander? Should they bring back Najee Harris? And what position should they target in the first round of the draft? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and before you go, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, Steelers Nation. Here we go.